Hello viewers, Super GT here. Thank you for joining me for another video. Okay, now over the course of this one, we're going to see a fair few mistakes. That's going to be the theme of this one. But check out this livery first. Penalty magnet. Hell yeah. Got to whack that bad boy on. There it is in all its glory. Check it out. It says penalty magnet, it also says where are the penalties. Kind of a bit of a juxtaposition there. But over the course of this race, we're going to see how far we can move forward from 15th on the grid in the penalty magnet. So this is a certain race around Spa-Francorchamps in the rain, as you can see, or the wet surface. It isn't actually raining. Now coming out of the chicane to begin the race properly, up behind the Beetle, looking for a move into turn 1. Late on the brakes, and we're going to get the job done. Beautiful stuff. Through the corner, bit of a squirm on the exit, and that is going to be something you're going to see quite a lot. This different surface, the wet weather, definitely makes things a little bit more hard. But what also makes things a little bit more difficult is the tyre choice. Because obviously when it's raining you want wet tyres. But me being an absolute noob, I've somehow managed to put intermediates on the rear of the car. Don't know how I managed that. And you can see the speed difference there, as we have the Hungarian up the inside and a Spaniard up the inside. And it's all kicking off between those two. Have Hungary and Spain ever had a war? Well, they have now, as we come back through past those guys. And you'll see an example of how difficult things were around Pouhon, on the exit of this corner at least. You can see here I'm just totally struggling for grip on the rear end. Can't keep it in check at all. And like I said, courtesy of my shocking tyre choice, what a stupid mistake that was. Don't know how I've even managed it, to be honest. There it is. Wets on the front, intermediates on the back. And that is a recipe for having a crap race. Anyway, we move on to some qualifying. I set a decent lap, a 2 minutes 34.3. Should move me up the order quite a bit. And let's see how that pans out here in the second race. So we've gone for the Porsche 911 RSR bracket 991 closed bracket 17. And we're going to see how this bad boy performs. This time with wets all round. Now this is the first stupid thing about this race. This is the first mistake on the game developer's part, you could say. Any track that ends with a chicane, look at that, 2.7 seconds away from the lead already because of your placement on the chicane at the start. And you see just how spread out the pack is. It's kind of good in one way because, of course, you don't get too much carnage into turn 1 when it's all spread out. So we're going to skip lap 1 because basically nothing happens when everyone's about 1 million miles apart. It's quite frustrating though, you know, having basically nothing to do on lap 1 because you're not anywhere near anyone. It'd be nice if the gaps were a little bit closer, or they could even start this race somewhere else, because as I said, any track that ends with a chicane, it's just a horrific experience really, isn't it? So Catalunya, Suzuka, I'm looking at you, and Spa of course. Spa's probably one of the worst ones, just the way that they line you up there. Okay, so this is lap number 2, about a third of the way round it, and the gap now 3.2 seconds to Callum in the lead, so he has pulled away slightly. In fact, it's gone down to 3 seconds. The gap is kind of hovering around that kind of a gap there. Now as we come down into Pouhon here, at the bottom of the hill, you can just scan forward and see Callum all over the curb. So it isn't just me making the mistakes here, there's plenty of other drivers as well. I'm going to look at some pretty hilarious examples of the occurrences in this race, because it is amazing when you go back to the replay at the end. You can really see some quite incredible things going on, and that's exactly what we're going to do later in this video. But in the meantime, we've most certainly caught up with Callum, well inside the slipstream, gap about, well, 3/4 of a second. And this is something that I've noticed in the rain, that if you make a mistake in the rain, you lose a lot more time than you do in the dry. In the dry, you might make a little mistake, you lose a couple of tenths, but everything's amplified in the rain or in the wet. You make the same mistake, you go a little bit wide, but you actually lose so much more. So Callum there lost more than 2 seconds for that mistake. In the dry, probably would have lost maybe half a second, a second. Hard to compare exactly, but you get the gist, I hope. Okay, so Callum actually with another mistake, not the best lap for him, surrendering a very big advantage of 3 seconds and then getting himself a penalty. So all I have to do now is just have a really good La Source hairpin, Eau Rouge Radion as well, and then the penalty zone is halfway down the Kemmel Straight. So if I can get close to him, then I should be able to overhaul him and get into the lead of the race. So this is the crucial part here, extending the entry, touching the curb, and then again using all of that curb at the top of the hill. I'll tuck into the slipstream now, and the gap comes down 0.6, 0.5, below 0.5, and he's going to slow down, keep to the right hand side, and we are just going to sweep by on the left hand side, just enough. Look at that, pretty much exactly what I needed, up into the lead. Lap 3, still a long way to go, and mistakes can most certainly still be made from here to the end. So it's most certainly not over. Coming down the hill then. So normally you're braking at the beginning of that curb on the left hand side going into there. But in the rain you need to scale back your braking points to accommodate the different levels of grip. Okay, so coming down the hill then towards Pouon once again. Guy in third place just going a little bit too wide. But the gap is opening up. It really is a battle of the top 2 at the moment, and this is something that characterised this race really, the fact that the gaps were so big. We talked about that at the start of the video, or the start of this race. It's so spread out, and sometimes I wish that there would be a grid start, because it would bring the pack a little bit closer together, but it would also cause chaos, so there is that, I suppose. So into the couple of corners here before the back straight, using all of the curb, and then powering out to the outside. You really do have to maximise the track width there, getting really close to the green AstroTurf, and pushing our luck. But if you want to win races, you have to kind of do that at times. But it is very much a case of risk versus reward here in the reduced grip conditions at Spa here. So he's actually quite close, going to perhaps go for the move. No, he doesn't. I do go a little bit deep though. I braked on the 150, you need to brake tiny bit before. And through here, I'm going to have to give him space. He's on the right hand side of me. And you can see they're just getting on the power a little bit too soon. It's a tiny bit offline and it really doesn't pay dividends. Callum back around the outside into the lead of the race. So another mistake. So he's made a mistake. Now it's my turn to do the same. Just braked a tiny bit too late. And in the dry, like I said earlier, that really wouldn't have been too bad. I braked maybe 20 metres too late. In the dry, you can get away with that. In the rain, well, the rain is a little bit less forgiving. You can't make those mistakes. And again, another mistake through Eau Rouge Radion, and a little bit too wide. That is potentially going to be a penalty. Yes, it is. 0.5. Okay, so now, basically the main objective over the course of the next lap, before we get back to the penalty zone, which we have just gone through. So we don't serve it there because we only just got the penalty. You have to wait a lap. Now, the main objective here is just to stay as close as I possibly can. If anything, try to get ahead of him before I serve this penalty, so that I can stay as close as possible once I do serve it. So that is the immediate objective over the course of the next lap. Just stay as close as I possibly can, and potentially get past him if at all possible. It's going to be quite a hard one. So a lot of the time around these wet races, I've noticed you're kind of often waiting for a mistake, and it's hard to actually press and just go for a move, a genuine move. You just often have to wait for the person to do something bad. So just going to try to shadow him here in the Ram Shadow Mobile. Just gone through Pouon, down the hill. Still having to manage some fuel here over the course of the race. That's why I'd have the fuel gauge on bottom right of the screen. 4 laps of fuel left, 50% remaining, or just over. And we have actually done more than 50% of the race. We are more than 50% of the way through the middle lap of the race, so should be alright on that front. And still here, keeping within range. He has just pulled away slightly through the last couple of corners. I am going to gain here because this is a straight. We're in the slipstream and we do gain a couple of attempts up there. Taking lots of the curb, a bit of the grass as well. And we're going to gain even more into the final chicane. You see they're braking well before the 150 board. And we're going to quite nicely meet the apex. And that's kind of how you're meant to do it. Not how we did it on the previous lap. And out of the final chicane then, at the end of lap 4, 3 to go. As we cross the line to begin lap number 5, and we have a 0.5 second penalty to serve in a couple of moments' time through La Source hairpin. You can see the gap to third now really opening up. They're kind of out of the picture. They're 6.6 seconds behind. We might as well forget about them existing at all. Okay then, don't mess it up this time. We've got to get this dead right, and we still will have a shout of winning this race. So nicely done over the curbs. And we're going to tuck into that slipstream, gap 0.6, and we can see exactly how much time we lose here. So it's a 0.5 second penalty, but when you're in the slipstream, gap down to 0.4, 0.35 it went down to, and then I serve the penalty, it goes back up to about 0.73 at its biggest extent. So we lose maybe 4 tenths. So that's actually not too bad. So we actually lost less time than the actual penalty. Well, the penalty is 0.5, so we lost less than that. So that's a good job. We're still in the slipstream. We're still in with a shout of winning the race. So I had a good lap. We stayed exactly where we had to, and we still have a chance of winning. And let's try and do exactly that right now on lap number 5 for the left-hander down towards Pouon. And I was actually here in 2010 for the Grand Prix. You see that grey hut on the right-hand side up there? Kind of sat just in front of that. And I do recall Lewis Hamilton winning on that day, 2010 Belgian Grand Prix. Go and look it up yourself on Wikipedia. I was at that one. But surely the crowd packed to the rafters here to see Ram Shadow hunting down Maluk M on this rainy day here in January. Now coming through once again. Up towards the back straight, crucial part of the lap, and he's sliding all over the place, just drifting a little bit too wide. Didn't know which side to go. I eventually settle on going to the right, and I'm going to go through up into the lead. So another mistake. We're just taking turns to be absolute bottle jobs at the moment, and on this occasion I'm going to come out on top. So now it's my job to not make a mistake. That's a bit of a mistake. Is it going to cause me to lose a position? Not quite, but as we come into the chicane, he's going to go for the move. Look at that lunge of the Millennium. It hasn't paid off. He's wide, and he's going to have to rejoin the track a little bit further back, squirming out of the chicane. Look at that, struggling for grip. Look at that gap though. He makes that one mistake, the gap goes up to 2.2 seconds. He was maybe half a second behind before that, and as I said earlier, you make those mistakes, you lose a lot of time in the rain, and that's exactly what's happened. The gap, in fact, it goes up to 2.5 seconds now. So this is a really good opportunity to win this race. Just need to make sure I don't participate in this bottle job game anymore. We can leave it at that, almost spinning out over the top of the hill, and the gap actually comes down to 2.1. Lost a bit of time through that sequence, but 2 seconds to gap. He's got a penalty, in fact. That is good news. Should be able to win this and bring it home for the Porsche boys back at Stuttgart. Shout out to all the Porsche boys back at the factory. Now, bringing it home here, we will look at the replays of the others, because let me tell you, it is quite incredible what happens over the course of some of these races. Looking back at the private stories of the other people's races, seeing how they tackled this fateful race around Spa in the dreadful conditions on this cold, gloomy January day. In fact, it's actually not too gloomy. It looks actually quite bright. If anything, quite a lot of blue sky. Okay, end of lap 6, crossing the line. Gap is 1.7 seconds. He's got that 0.5 second penalty to serve. And really just a case of bringing home the bacon as we come through the Lassau's hairpin for the final time of asking. And we can skip it forward here into the final chicane. No point in trying to outbrake ourselves here and set a lap record. Just bring it home. Just win the race. That's all we've got to do now. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Ram Shadow, with the bottle job trade-off race, actually comes out on top. Doesn't bottle it too much. Malik M, he's the one who's going to be bottling it today and finishing in second. Okay, so there we go. A decent little victory there. Trading mistakes with other drivers, but coming out on top eventually. And, well, let's have a look at this replay then, shall we? Some pretty interesting occurrences further back in the order. Lots of penalties here, everyone cutting the corners, I think. There's no penalties for collisions these days. It's all about those track limits. And boom! Just going to wipe out this Hungarian out of nowhere. So it looks like Ireland and Hungary now having a war. So absolutely murders him. No penalty for that, of course. He did have a penalty prior to that. Yellow flag coming in here. Lap 3. Let's see what goes on. So we've got the Porsche of Gimbria twitch around the outside of the Italian. It's getting a little bit clumsy there, to be honest, but they just about make it through. And then who's this guy on the left-hand side coming out of nowhere? It's Lomba 4 guy in the Audi. Let's see how his story developed. Okay, so he's sitting in 4th place. Decent little position. Brakes way too late. Like a year too late, basically. Loses 1, 2, 3, 4 positions. Tries to get back on the power. And just slams straight into the tiniest barrier in the whole circuit. And then loses more positions. And then... oh, let's see what happened there. Comes into the next corner. And it just brakes too late and gets pinned against the wall. This could be on You've Been Framed. And as we come up to the next, the Lade corner, it looks like he just can't get his brakes right. Looking at his brake input, it's like he's only braking like 50% braking input. So I don't know what's going wrong there with his pedal. Maybe it's like Max Verstappen with a broken pedal. And then he gets sent to the shadow room. He quits the race. And G-Star's 420 blazing it on the final turn here. Lap 7 of 7. And oh, there you go, he spins again. And this is Gimbria Twitch coming through to 7th at the end of the race. I think he started at the back as well, so not too bad. So it looks like another hideous mistake here. And someone else with a severe case of braking way too late. And he tries to get back onto the track, gets reset, loses 3 positions. This is the final corner, by the way. Loses 3 positions, loses 2 more, and then loses control, similar to our Lomba 4 guy. So he goes from 4th to 11th on the final corner. That is bottle job of the millennium. GG, mate. Unlucky. Well, I say unlucky, but well, it's all on him, really, isn't it? And he almost loses control over the line. In fact, he kind of does. But, well, there you go. Some pretty interesting occurrences here at Spa in the rain. I do hope you've enjoyed the video as always, as much as I have enjoyed recording it and going through it for you. But that is all from me. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more Super GT content, make sure you subscribe and maybe hit the like button if you did enjoy it. Also, give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter if you want to see a little bit more stuff. That is all from me today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking around all the way to the end. Have a nice day, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.